potential, what landforms are associated with those areas. I mean, if I turn off this data set, if I say...
Changing the color, do you add the arrow values? Because my color isn't changing.
Sure. Let's take a look. I say if you turn off the wind power potential layer and look at the base map, I think you'll get a hint at what's going on. But
I did this changes to white. I did okay.
okay, can you open it back up? And go to here. Double click the one again. Okay, so actually this is hollow. There's no color inside, it's just a border. Yeah, that one's easy to do. So I'll just say white and then say okay, and then apply.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
How did you get 6?
So let's click on the add all values.
Oh,
Yep.
fine.
I would get in random order. They're not really.
Okay, sometimes what you have to do is actually just click on the color ramp again, wherever it is.
Okay.
And then it'll redraw them in order.
Is there a way we can, turn the pattern around? Like, this is highlight. This used to be dark blue.
Yep. If you go back to the layer properties, right click here under symbol,
Okay.
right click on the word symbol,
Okay.
and say flip symbols, and then apply. Is that what you're looking for?
Oh, cool. Yes.
Yep, so now it's getting
Makes more
darker
sense.
blue
Yes,
with the
yes.
higher values. So I'll go ahead and demonstrate that to you, what I just showed. If you like one color scale but you want to reverse it, you can right click here where it says symbol and say flip symbols, and then it will switch that color scale. Right, so now white is my highest and red is my lowest. I'm going to flip it back to the way it was. So this isn't really crucial for knowing about our map, but those areas where they have higher wind potential, we also have bigger lakes.
But the counts are turned to question marks. The counts in the properties, in the layer properties, they are turned to question marks.
That's a good question. I'd have to look into that. Right, it may be too many for it to summarize, or I'm not sure. That one's new to me. That's a good observation. Often what happens if you have a lot of records, it will just take a subset of those to save time and then not read through every single record. I don't know if that's what happened this time or not. I'm sorry. Okay. So now what I want to do is I want to show the counties, the borders, above this data, just to give a little bit of context to where these high and low areas are. And then we're going to add some labels to those counties. So I'll turn my counties layer back on, and I need to move it above my wind power in the table of contents. And mine look really bad because I played around with the symbology before. But what I want to do is go back to the layer properties and select the features. The first option, I'm going to use that same symbol for everything. And I'm going to select hollow. So for hollow, what this does is it takes a border and draws that with some color, with some line, but it leaves the interior empty. So if I say OK and OK, now I can see these county lines, but I can see through to the data underneath. Now to add labels, if I go to my good old right click in my layers, there's an option to label features. And if I click that, now I have labels for the counties. So again, I go to my table of contents, I right click the name of the layer, so in this case counties SC. and I can click where it says Label Features. And the labeling it's fairly smart. It reads through all the fields in my table, and it finds one that it thinks I probably want to show. So name is usually a default. If I go to the layer properties and switch from the symbology tab, there's also a labels tab where I can go and I see that my label field defaulted to name. I could have it be whatever I want to be though. Most of these don't make a lot of sense for labeling. You can also change the font, the size, the color, and go into really advanced stuff like do I want to place these? So I'm not really going to go into this right now. I may just say drop my font size down by 1 point and say OK. So what do you think? Anything else you want to change on the map? Or does it look okay?
Get rid of all the stuff on
You want to get rid of the base map? Sure. That's easy enough. We can just turn that guy off. If I wanted to assign some color to the background, we can also do that. If I right-click on my layers on the name of the data frame and go to the data frame properties, I have a bunch of options for the data frame itself. One of them being, where is it? Is it frame? If I go to the frame tab, I can go to the background drop down here, and the default being none, I could say make it light blue if I wanted to, so that it shows up with just some background color without a map. So I'm pretty happy with the way this map looks right now. Now let's set up our map document for exporting. So if you're working on your own map and not following along, let's switch over and get it set up to export. We're going to size our map on a piece of paper, and then we're going to add a few cartographic elements to it. So here in the bottom left, there's some really tiny buttons. We've been working entirely in what's called the data view. But right next to it, to the right of it, if I hover, is something called the layout view. And so if I click that, it switches over and it shows me a piece of paper, right? So how am I laying out my map for export? I can see there are some blue squares here. If I click and drag on the edge of this box, I can resize the map on the page. I could say expand it outwards to fill the page. Something that's important here is what you should also see is this layout toolbar that's floating around. And notice there are some pan and zoom tools here. Those are just for the layout view. They don't change anything in the map. But if you're not happy with exactly the zoom level or the pan in your map, you can go back to the map tools and say pan around and change where it is in that data frame. Does everybody see that? So now I have two sets of zooming and pan tools to work with. But now let's add a few things. Let's add a title to our map. Let's add a legend and a scale bar and a north arrow. Just common map features you'd want to include. Whoops. Put this back here in the middle. So if I click on the insert at the top, I can say, where's title? The second one from the top. I say title, and it's asking me, what title do I want to give to my map? So what would you guys like? South Carolina wind generation potential. And then it shows up here. I can click and drag and move it around. And if I right click on it, notice I can go into properties and I can change, if I change the symbol, I can change the font, I could change the size, the color, and so on. So you can customize the way anything appears in your map that you're going to export.
So I had a question about when you size this.
Mhm.
So you did it with the little draggy boxes. Can you set specific inches or pixels?
Yes. I haven't used it much, so I can look into it. I know it's possible to be more precise than what I did.
So you have to click around and find where.
Sorry?
But you have to like click around and find where to specify that.
Yes. Yeah, for this demonstration, I just do it all by hand, but there are more advanced tools than what I'm showing you. All right, so let's go back to insert if you have a title, and let's say legend, right? So we want